Welcome to Calm Coding. This is your weekly deep dive into the cybersecurity news that actually matters.
Yeah, there's always so much happening, it's easy to get lost in the noise.
Totally. It feels like this constant flood.
Right.
And who really has time to sift through every single headline?
Exactly.
So that's what we do here. We look at the big cybersecurity events each week, we unpack them, and really try to highlight what you need to know.
Helps you stay informed, but hopefully without feeling completely overwhelmed by it all.
Precisely. And this week, well, we've got some really significant developments to talk about. Everything from massive ad fraud schemes to some pretty sneaky social media scams and quite a bit more.
It's quite a mix. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. Okay, first up is this story that, honestly, the scale of it is just wild. Researchers at Human, they uncovered this huge ad fraud operation. They're calling it Scallywag.
Hey, Scallywag. Sounds almost quaint, doesn't it? But yeah, the operation itself was anything but small.
Not at all. We're talking about hijacking WordPress sites. At its peak, over 400 domains involved.
And generating, get this, 1.4 billion ad requests per day.
I know. When I first saw that number, I thought, that can't be right. Billion with a B.
It's astronomical. And it really shows you the kind of money that must be involved to motivate something on that scale.
So how did they actually pull it off? It wasn't just putting ads on dodgy sites, right?
No, it was a bit more sophisticated than that. They basically monetized pirated content, but indirectly. They partnered with the owners of sites hosting, pirated movies or software.
Okay.
And the link was these WordPress plugins. 4 specific ones were named. SoraLink, which goes way back to 2016, then UIDEA, WP SafeLink, and DropLink more recently.
So the plugins were the mechanism for the fraud.
Exactly. These plugins were designed to load ads, obviously, but they also use tricks to manipulate visitors. Things like those please wait buttons you sometimes see before a download link appears.
Ugh, yeah, those are annoying.
Right, and fake cat PTCHAs too. The whole point was just to delay the user, keep them on the page longer so all the hidden ads had time to load properly and count as viewed.
That's sneaky.
Yeah.
They're basically hijacking your time to commit fraud.
Pretty much. And what's really bold is that the people behind this actually created YouTube tutorials showing other people how to set it up.
You're kidding. They made guides.
Yeah, like, here's how you can join our ad fraud network. It's a way to sail the operation, get more people involved without much effort on their part.
Wow. So what happened? Did they get shut down?
Well, Human reported it, blocked a massive amount of the traffic, they said, about a 95% reduction, which is huge.
Okay, that's good.
It's definitely a major blow to the operation. But, these things rarely die completely. They adapt. The big takeaway here, I think, is just how vulnerable a common platform like WordPress can be at scale, and how creative fraudsters get with monetization makes you think twice about the ad tech world.
He really does.
Okay,
let's shift gears a bit. Social media hijacking seem to be on the rise, too. Bitdefender Labs flagged a big increase in YouTube and Instagram accounts getting compromised through 2024 and even into early 2025.
Yeah, and they're not just going after anyone. They're specifically targeting content creators, people with huge followings.
Right. The potential reach is massive. We're talking billions of views collectively across these accounts.
Exactly. It's a strategic move. If you compromise an account that people already trust and follow, your scam or malware link gets instant credibility and reach. That trust becomes, well, a weapon.
So what are they doing with these hijacked accounts?
On YouTube, a really common tactic is malicious live streams. They'll take over a channel and start streaming, pretending to be, say, Tesla or SpaceX.
Oh, I think I've heard about those. With Elon Musk, maybe?
Yeah, often using deepfakes or manipulated footage of figures like Musk or even Donald Trump, trying to promote crypto scams, send 1 Bitcoin, get 2 back, that kind of thing.
Classic scam, but amplified.
Hugely amplified. Bitdefender spotted over 9,000 of these streams just in 2024. And think about this. One account they saw that got compromised had 12.4 billion total views. Even a tiny conversion rate on a scam is significant then.
That's scary. What about Instagram? Similar tactics.
Yeah. Similar goals, different methods sometimes. Lots of phishing attempts there. Criminals send emails pretending to be Meta or Instagram support.
Trying to get login details?
Exactly. The link to a fake login page to steal credentials, sometimes even the SMS codes for 2-factor authentication.
Ooh, that's tricky.
Very. Another angle is malicious sponsorships. A creator gets an email, looks like a legit brand deal, but the attached contract or the link to the campaign brief, it's malware.
That requires creators to be so careful about offers they receive.
Absolutely. And then there's malvertising too, fake ads for stuff people want like new AI tools or maybe early access to a game like GTA VX. Click the ad and you end up installing info stealers or RATs, remote access Trojans.
They really tap into hype and current events, don't they? Like the Apple keynotes you mentioned or that White House crypto summit, fake airdrops and things.
Precisely. They use trending topics as bait. It's all social engineering, playing on excitement or urgency.
So what's the advice? For creators and just regular users.
For creators, strong, unique passwords, multi-factor authentication is non-negotiable. Scrutinize every sponsorship offer. Maybe use security tools designed for creators. Bitdefender has one, for instance. DDoS protection can also help high-profile accounts.
And for the rest of us watching,
Be skeptical. If an offer or a giveaway, especially crypto, seems too good to be true, it almost certainly is. Verify links before clicking. Use secure browsers. Just maintain that healthy dose of suspicion.
good advice. Okay, moving to a different sphere now, government cybersecurity. There was news about CISA, the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. 2 senior officials resigned on the same day.
Yeah, that was Bob Lord, who was a senior technical advisor, and Lauren Zabierek, a senior advisor, both stepping down simultaneously.
And these aren't junior folks. Lord was previously CSO at the DNC, CISO at Yahoo. Zabierek came from Recorded Future and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. That's some serious experience walking out the door.
It really is. And it comes amidst some background chatter about potential future staff cuts at CISA, or at least concerns about them. There were attempts to reduce staff previously.
So is this potentially a brain drain situation? Losing top talent due to instability or uncertainty?
It certainly raises that question. You need stability and experienced leadership in an agency like CISA. Their executive director, Bridget Bean, put out a statement saying they remain laser-focused on their mission, emphasizing secure by design products.
Which is important work.
Absolutely critical. But losing people with that level of institutional knowledge and strategic insight, well, it could potentially impact their effectiveness down the line. It's something to watch.
Definitely. Now let's talk about how attackers are getting in. Sophos put out some interesting research about network edge devices. Routers, VPNs, firewalls.
Right, and their findings suggest these are becoming increasingly popular entry points for attackers. Nearly 30% of initial compromises they tracked started at the network edge.
Almost a third. That's significant.
What really stood out to me was the role of VPNs. They found VPNs were the single most common way attackers got initial access for ransomware and data theft attacks, about 25% of cases.
Wow. Even more common than compromised passwords or credentials.
Yeah, more common than compromised creds in those specific attack types, which is, as you said, kind of counterintuitive given how much we focus on password hygiene and MFA.
So why are VPNs such a target?
Well, they're essential for remote access, especially now, but they can also have vulnerabilities if they're not kept patched and configured correctly. Attackers are actively scanning for these weaknesses, and if they compromise a VPN, they potentially have a direct tunnel into the network.
Makes sense. And ransomware is still a huge threat, especially for smaller organizations.
Oh, absolutely. It remains a top concern. And while credential theft via phishing, especially with AI making phishing emails more convincing, is still a major issue, exploiting these edge devices is clearly a growing tactic.
Sophos also mentioned something called digital detritus. What's that about?
Yeah, that refers to all the old hardware routers, firewalls, maybe even old servers that are technically end of life, but are still somehow connected to the network, often exposed to the internet.
Stuff people forgot about.
Exactly. Or maybe thought was disconnected, but isn't. These devices aren't getting security patches anymore. They're full of known, unpatched vulnerabilities. So for an attacker, they're like low-hanging fruit. Easy targets to compromise and use as a beachhead to move deeper into the network.
So keeping track of your hardware lifecycle is crucial.
Absolutely critical. You need to know what you have, make sure it's patched, and have a solid process for securely decommissioning old gear. It's basic hygiene, often overlooked. Attackers are often just exploiting existing systems and known flaws rather than deploying fancy new malware.
Right, path of least resistance.
Okay.
Let's turn to state-sponsored activity. There's been a campaign attributed to a Chinese group called Lotus Panda, also known as Billbug, apparently.
Yeah, they have a few names. This group has been targeting organizations in Southeast Asia, government agencies, air traffic control, telcos, even a news agency and construction company. This was observed between mid-2024 and early 2025.
And they were using new tools.
That's the key finding. They deployed malware that hadn't been seen before, new loaders, credential stealers, some reverse SSH tools for command and control, alongside updates to their existing toolkit, like a tool called X for data exfiltration.
So they're constantly evolving their methods.
Constantly, and they're clever about it too. They were seen abusing legitimate executables from Trend Micro and Bitdefender of all things.
How does that work?
It's a technique called DLL sideloading. They basically trick the legitimate program into loading a malicious library file instead of the real one. It helps them evade detection because the initial process that's running looks perfectly normal. They also used publicly available tools like Zrock for remote access and even a simple utility just to change the timestamps on files, probably to make forensic investigation harder. It shows a mix of custom development and resourceful use of existing tools.
And this group has a history in Southeast Asia, but might be looking further afield.
Their primary focus seems to have been espionage in Southeast Asia for years, but there are indications they might be expanding targets, potentially including the US and Australia. Definitely a persistent threat actor to track.
Okay, shifting back to data breaches that impact consumers directly. Remember that ransomware attack on the French retailer Boulanger back in 2024?
Vaguely, yeah. An electronics store, right?
That's the one. Well, reports are surfacing now that the customer data stolen in that attack is actually being leaked online.
Ah, so the follow-on effect. The data gets exfiltrated during the ransomware attack, and then later it shows up publicly.
It's exactly. There's a bit of a discrepancy in the numbers. The hackers initially claimed something like 27 million records. Security researchers analyze the sample and think it's closer to maybe 1 million.
Still a significant number of people affected either way. What kind of data?
Pretty sensitive stuff. Full names, postal addresses, email addresses, phone numbers. The kind of PII, personally identifiable information, that's really useful for scammers. And you said this was tied to that ransomware attack, the one by HorrorMar44.
Correct. That actor hit Boulanger and a couple of other French retailers, Truffaut and Cultura, around September 2024. Initially, the data was apparently up for sale on dark web forums.
But now it's just out there.
Seems like it's been dumped publicly now, which obviously increases the risk for all the individuals whose details are in that leak. It really highlights the long tail of ransomware attacks. The damage isn't just the initial disruption.
No kidding. Okay, another leak. This one involving an employee monitoring app called Work Composer.
Oh, yeah, I saw this one. Not good.
Not good at all. Cyber News researchers found an unsecured Amazon S3 bucket. Cloud storage, basically.
Open to the public.
Apparently so. And inside, over 21 million screenshots captured by this Work Composer app.
Wow. Screenshots of employee screens?
Exactly. Real-time activity. So you can imagine what might be visible there. Private messages, login screens, confidential documents, customer data, anything an employee might be looking at.
That is a massive privacy violation and a huge security risk. Think about the potential for identity theft, corporate espionage, further breaches if credentials were captured.
For sure. And Work Composer apparently claims over 200,000 active users. So potentially a lot of companies and employees affected.
Did they secure the bucket?
The report says it was locked down after they were notified. But still, it highlights a recurring problem, doesn't it? Misconfigured cloud storage.
It absolutely does. Cloud providers give you the tools, but securing them, that's on the customer. The whole shared responsibility model. If you don't configure your buckets or databases properly, this is exactly what can happen.
A painful reminder. Okay, one last story. And this one is quite creative in a malicious way. Attackers abusing Zoom's remote control feature.
Yes, the elusive Comet group, using Zoom for crypto theft.
It sounds almost like a social engineering plot from a movie. How does it work?
So they start on social media, often X, pretending to be journalists, say from Bloomberg. They reach out to targets, often in the crypto space, for an interview.
Okay, seems legitimate enough so far.
Then they send a Calendly link to schedule a Zoom call. During the call, someone joins using the name Zoom, just Zoom.
Weird. But maybe someone thinks it's a support person or something.
Potentially. Then the Zoom user requests remote control of the target's computer using Zoom's built-in feature.
And the permission box pops up, looking like any other Zoom notification.
Exactly. The researchers who found this, Trail of Bits, pointed out how deceptive that dialogue can be. It looks official if the target clicks allow.
Game over.
Pretty much. The attackers get control, quickly install backdoors, and then start looking for cryptocurrency wallets to drain them.
Wow. That takes advantage of trust in the platform itself.
It does. And the researchers noted the tactics have similarities to the Lazarus Group. The ones linked to that huge Bybit crypto exchange hack worth like $1.5 billion.
So, potentially sophisticated actors using a relatively simple trick.
Simple but effective. The advice here is crystal clear. Never, ever grant remote control access via Zoom or any similar tool unless you are absolutely 100% certain who is on the other end and why they need it. Verify through a separate channel if you have any doubt at all.
Makes sense. Don't click allow just because the box looks familiar.
Please don't.
Wow, okay. That was quite a tour through the cybersecurity landscape this week. From that massive Scallywag ad fraud to social media accounts being weaponized.
Then the CISA resignations, the focus on VPNs and old hardware as entry points, the ongoing state-sponsored stuff like Lotus Panda.
Right, plus the Boulanger data actually hitting the public domain, that huge Work Composer screenshot leak.
Yeah.
And finally, attackers getting creative with Zoom.
It really paints a picture of just how varied the threats are, doesn't it? Criminals are constantly innovating, targeting everything from infrastructure to individual users to software features themselves.
It absolutely does. The common threads seem to be that persistence, that creativity on the part of the attackers, and just the constant need for vigilance on our side.
Yeah, staying informed like this is definitely step one, but it's also about understanding the how and the why behind these attacks.
Definitely. So as you're thinking about all this, maybe consider how these trends connect back to your own situation. Given how good social engineering is getting and how even trusted platforms can be misused. What's one concrete thing you could maybe do differently this week to verify interactions online or secure your own digital footprint?
That's a really good question for everyone to reflect on.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive on calm coding. We hope breaking these stories down is giving you some valuable insights.
Hope to see you back here next week.
Join us again next time for more essential cybersecurity updates and analysis. Stay safe out there.